All right, let's do this receiver from Too Tall Toby, 240606 level 6. And I like this one because it's got a blend, and blends in Creo can be tricky. So let's jump in. We got this. Here we go. I'm going to start with a sketch on the front plane, and I'm going to do kind of what's happening here. I'm going to use it a little bit for the revolve. I'm going to use it kind of for my extrude. So it's going to be kind of a guideline. I'm going to start with my first sketch, and I'm going to make it 62, and I'm going to make the base down here 80 divided by 2. And then from here, I'm going to kind of keep going. So I got my angle, and then I go up, and then I come out, and I go up, and all right. So let's talk through some of these dimensions. We know we've got the overall height of 182. Yeah, that didn't feel like it clicked. Let's try that again. And I've got a height to this location of 100. I've got this inner diameter here of 55. I've got this angle of 45 to the horizontal. Remember, you can use any horizontal and you'll get the same dimension. So this one here is 30 to the horizontal, so I can come all the way down here. That'll work. And we got this 200 out here, so we'll grab this as 200 divided by 2. Now, I'm going to use this geometry to make a revolve, so I'm actually going to close that loop. Okay, I'm going to use this geometry to help with my blend. I'm going to use this geometry to help with my extrude, but actually, we'll leave it there for now. So kind of weird looking sketch here, but we're going to use it for quite a few things. Okay, and we can start with sketch region, grab that geometry, spin it around. For the axis, we'll grab center line there, solid 360. There we go. So that's the bottom part. We are going to shell it and make it at wall thickness later. Oops, I did not mean to have my cross section on yet. All right. Now I'm going to jump up to the top and do this extruded portion. So I'm going to create a plane that is parallel to the top plane but passes through this end point. So I can make it parallel or normal. Let's leave it as parallel. And we will extrude a total length racetrack. And let's make that a little bigger. We'll give it a width of 70 and an overall length of 200. When I tried this earlier, I couldn't really get it to stick to the sketch, but I can just confirm that it's making contact there, so that's good. And we'll flip this the other way, and we'll go to reference, right? I want to try to avoid duplicating dimensions, so there we go. Okay. And all right, so let's talk about the blend. So there's a blend that happens between here. So I want to show what happens if you try to use an existing blend. If I go with this section and I use the details for the chain and I make it a complete loop, there's my first section. And then I add another section and I pick this. I'm going to right click to get the intent edge. So I got a full loop there. Notice nothing's happening. And that's because we've got a 2-sided sketch and a 4-sided sketch. And even if I made this one 4-sided, it's still not going to quite do what I want. I can actually go into the new sketches and I can make it 6 segments and 6 segments, and that sometimes works. But a boundary blend is going to be so much easier and allow us to work with this geometry as is. So I'm going to cancel, get out of the blend. And I want to use a boundary blend, but the guide curve here will be one thing, but I also need a guide curve for the other side. So I'll go back into my sketch. And I'm going to take just this segment and mirror it. So again, this geometry wouldn't work if you were doing a straight revolve, right? I did the sketch region option, so that sketch has a lot of weirdness, honestly, happening. Okay, so we're going to go to boundary blend. I'm going to start with the bottom curve. For some reason, it doesn't seem to want to let me use an intent edge for this one. But if I click the edge and then hold down Shift, it'll let me get the surface loop. Okay. And then my second direction, or sorry, first direction, second chain, again, I'm going to do the right click, intent edge. Oop, my mistake, I didn't hold down Control. All right, so click, Shift, loop, Control, right click, intent edge, left click. Okay, and you'll see it's not perfect, but it doesn't care how many segments. Okay, if I go to my second direction, that's going to be when I'm going to use this piece. And so if I hold down Control, right, I don't want the whole composite curve. If I right click, I can just get the little piece that I'm hovering over. Okay. So that is a boundary blend. We have two different curves. This will make a, oh, it's showing it in green. That's not supposed to do that. This is a quilt. Let's go into view and let's clear appearances from that quilt. Interesting. All right. Well, this is unfortunate. It is trying to fool you into thinking it's solid, and it is not. So boundary blends are surfaces. They are not solids. They are very easy to work with, though. I can go into the solidify option and click on that boundary blend, and it'll fill that right in. And because it's making contact with the existing solid, it just fills it right in. Really nice and clean. Okay, let's undo our cross section, and there we go. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to add these holes. This is going to be kind of interesting. I'll do a sketch on the top. There's so many ways to do this geometry on the top. It's kind of funky. This inside view gives a good view of what's happening there. I think, well, I don't necessarily, I want to dimension that. So I'm going to do something like this. Okay. Make this one 35, this one 25. This distance here is 65. And then this distance here is the same. All right. So I'm going to extrude this. This is going to get a little funky. I'm going to just give it a depth of 10, which is the depth here. And there's so many ways to do this top geometry. The way I'm doing it is probably not the most intuitive way, but I like being able to show some interesting things. So I'm going to add a shell. The wall thickness is 3. And we're going to hollow out the bottom. Okay. But we're also going to hollow out that top portion there, right? Let's go back to our cross section. Oh, I guess we'll have to do it after. That's fine. So I'm going to make the top a non-default thickness because that has a wall thickness of 6 up here at the top instead of 3. But this is kind of fun. I go from 25 to 45, 35 to 55. So I can also add a non-default wall thickness of 10 to each of those diameters. Again, really kind of a funky way to think about it. Maybe not intuitive. Maybe the better way would be to sketch those diameters and extrude them. But just an interesting way to think about this part is that, let's go to our measurement tool, right? I've got a wall thickness there of 10, meaning my diameter down here is 45, which is what I'm looking for. And out here, it's going to be 55. Right? We're not quite done yet. We got to add this section over here. So I'm going to create a sketch on the right plane. And I'm going to do a sketch region thing here as well. So I'm going to make a circle and then another circle, diameter of 20. This location is 25. All right, so I got 20 and 40 and 25. All right. So I can use that sketch region. Interesting. Oh, yeah, undo my cross section. That's all right. We can get it from here. And we'll extrude that. That's going to come out for a depth of 53. But I don't want to have to remove this. So under options on the side 2, we can do, I like to do variable first just to make sure it's going the right direction. And then I can say to reference and grab that surface. Okay. So that looks good, but it leaves this section in here, right here. So we're going to grab that inner hole and we'll extrude that. And we'll go through all, remove material, and open that hole up. All right. Lots of different ways to do it. That is my way for today. So we got a mass there. We can drop that in. And awesome. Yeah, I did it in under 5 minutes previously. Woo. Anyway, the biggest thing I wanted to capture in this video was the boundary blend to fill in this piece that the blends, unfortunately, really picky about how many segments you're working with, can be challenging, but the boundary blend tool can be really nice. Just make sure you're holding down control to get multiples. Shift can be used to go for loops instead. So a couple of mouse tricks, a couple of keyboard tricks actually, and the boundary blend can really smoothly take care of some of that geometry for you. All right. Hope that helps and talk to you later.